Tonight, on This Old Shotgun, we take a look at yet another neglected, vintage pump-action shotgun. Tonight, the shotgun we're looking at is made by JC Higgins. This is the Model 20 that was sold by Sears and Roebuck from 1946 up until 1961. So what exactly is the JC Higgins Model 20 shotgun? Well, if you look on the receiver, it says Sears and Roebuck Company. This is a Model 20 12-gauge pump action, and the specific model number for this shotgun is 583.58, which dates this gun to about 1951. Now, again, what exactly is a JC Higgins Model 20? Well, back in the day, department stores like Sears and JC Penney and Kmart used to private label certain guns from big-name manufacturers, and then they would resell them under their own branding. In this particular case, this Model 20 shotgun was actually made by High Standard, and the JC Higgins name actually predates the High Standard shotgun brand by several years. So later on in its life, about 1964, 68, somewhere around there, this would have been called the High Standard Model 200 shotgun. Now this is kind of based loosely on it has some cues from a Winchester Model 12, some cues from a Remington Model 17 and Model 31, probably more based on the Model 31 in that it has a falling locking bolt like a Model 31 has. So when you rack the action, the bolt drops down and comes out of lock. When you close the action, the bolt actually slides back up into the receiver and locks in place. This has a milled steel receiver, so it's a very hefty gun. And this model that I have was actually the premium model because it has a vent rib on the top of the barrel, and it has that initial plate on the bottom of the stock, as well as the additional cues with that plastic piece on the pistol grip. Now again, this is a rather neglected version of this particular gun. Overall, it's in great shape, and the main reason I wanted this is because it's basically a High Standard 200, which is the predecessor to the High Standard K1200 that I have as well. This model, again, being the premium model, has a jeweled bolt, which it's a little bit rusty, so it's not the greatest picture to take here, but it does have a jeweled bolt. And if you notice, mine's missing the safety button. So, again, it was a little bit neglected. You can see a bunch of scratches on the takedown pin from unscrupulous people taking it apart with steel punches and things like that. But overall, this shotgun, being a milled steel receiver, High Standard made shotgun, feels almost as good as my K1200. And it has this really cool power pack choke system on it, which kind of works like a cuts compensator. So there's actually a section after the barrel that has a bunch of vents in it, so the gas will vent off, and then you can unscrew the choke from the end of the barrel and replace it with one that's either tighter or looser. Mine came with a middle range choke, which I think is like a modified choke. You could get one that had a short range, which would have been kind of your improved cylinder, and then a long range choke, which would have been close to a full choke. Now, the thing that's neat about these is the barrel actually stops before the choke touches it. So there is an area after the barrel where the gas can escape out and go through those vents before the shot goes through the choke. I have seen a couple of videos where in some cases the wad will get stuck in that expansion area, but it's kind of few and far between. Now, again, I mentioned this has been a little bit neglected. It's not in bad shape, but you can definitely see some surface rust here and there. So this gun was not stored well for probably most of its life. But I was lucky, and the magazine tube unscrewed right out of the receiver, so I will be able to do a really good job cleaning this thing up and making sure that everything functions well. Overall, the action on this gun is extremely smooth. It has about a 22-inch barrel with that 4 or 5 inch long compensator on the end of it with the choke in it. So overall barrel length from the breech to the muzzle is 26 inches, which I think in general is a good length shotgun for doing skeet and trap shooting, bird shot, and things like that. So I think this will be a fairly decent gun. Now, I know this isn't necessarily really made for slugs because of the way the choke is set up on this thing, but I'm betting you could actually just take the choke out and shoot slugs right out of the barrel. Now, I've mentioned before that a lot of these department store guns are really well made by larger manufacturers, and part of the reason I wanted this Model 20 is, again, because I have this Sears Model 3522, which is a pump-action repeating rifle, and this particular one has a similar action on it. It has the slide release button behind the grip. It has that same initial plate on the bottom of the stock. It has the same trim pieces on it. Even though this one is marketed as a Sears, it actually does have the JC Higgins name on the back of it. So around the same time period as this Model 20 that I picked up. And again, just another really cool vintage department store gun from a bygone time when you could walk into a Sears or a Kmart and buy guns. Thirdly, I have this Sears Model 54 that I recently featured in one of my rifle and pistol pairings videos. This is a 30-30 lever action, and it's the same exact gun as a Winchester Model 94, which is another great department store rifle and something that is very well made by a larger manufacturer, and it's very cool from a time period when you could go into a department store and walk out with a rifle or a shotgun or a pistol. So again, going back to the Model 20, it's a very cool shotgun made by High Standard all the way from the 1940s up until the 1960s. It has an exceptionally smooth action, and despite the fact that this one has a little bit of surface rust on the barrel and the magazine tube and under the vent rib, doesn't bother me any. I will do some work to clean this one up, maybe refinish the stock, and just touch up some scratches here and there. Overall, despite the condition of the rust and things like that, this gun is really in good condition. It doesn't look like it's been shot a lot. It does need some really good cleaning and some oiling, but this is just another addition to my kind of growing assortment of walnut and blued steel shotguns from the vintage bygone era. So thanks again for watching another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. God bless America. Support your 2A rights. Get out there and shoot. You remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, remind them that freedom is the greater good. Just a final note, if you want even more in-depth information about this shotgun, go check out Serp Garage on YouTube. That guy is a wealth of knowledge, and he does a lot more research than I do. So thank you again, Serp Garage.